If you have oily skin and you're still grabbing just any sunscreen off the shelf, you're literally making your skin worse. I know that sounds harsh, but someone had to say it. Most sunscreens out there formulated for normal to dry skin. And when oily skin people use them, the result is clogged pores, a greasy film that won't quit, breakouts that never heal, and that horrible white cast staring back at you in photos. Here's the scary part. Some of the most popular, most recommended sunscreens on the market right now are the worst possible choices for oily skin. You've probably used one. Maybe you're using one right now. In this video, I've done all the research so you don't have to. I'm breaking down 10 sunscreens you need to stop buying immediately, and trust me, a few of them are going to surprise you. But don't worry, I'm also giving you the only 3 sunscreens that oily skin actually loves in 2026. Let's get into it. Before we get into the list, I want you to understand why oily skin and the wrong sunscreen is such a dangerous combination. Because once you understand the science behind it, you will never blindly pick up a sunscreen again. Oily skin already produces excess sebum. That's the natural oil your skin makes. Now when you layer a heavy, pore-clogging sunscreen on top of that, you are essentially trapping all of that oil underneath a thick barrier. Your pores suffocate. Bacteria builds up. And before you know it, you're dealing with breakouts that you probably blamed on your diet, your pillowcase, your hormones, when really, it was your sunscreen all along. That's the truth nobody in the beauty industry wants to talk about openly, but we're going to talk about it today, right here, because your skin deserves better information. Now let's talk about the first category of sunscreens that oily skin people absolutely need to stay away from. And that is chemical sunscreens with oxybenzone and avobenzone as their primary filters. I know. Chemical sunscreens are marketed as lightweight and invisible, which sounds like a dream for oily skin. And that marketing is exactly what makes them so dangerous for us. These chemical filters work by absorbing UV radiation and converting it into heat, and then releasing that heat through your skin. Now for dry skin, that's totally fine. But for oily skin, that heat generation actually stimulates your sebaceous glands to produce even more oil. So you put on your sunscreen in the morning thinking you're protected and doing your skin a favor, and by noon your face looks like a glazed donut. That's not your skin type being dramatic. That's a chemical reaction happening on your face in real time. The first specific sunscreen on our avoid list is one you have definitely seen everywhere. It's been recommended by influencers, stocked in every drugstore, and it has thousands of 5-star reviews online. But when you look at its ingredient list closely, it is loaded with oxybenzone, alcohol denat, and silicone-based fillers that feel light going on but sit right on top of your skin and mix with your natural oils to create a congesting layer that is virtually invisible to the naked eye. You won't feel it clogging your pores in the moment. But over weeks and months of daily use, the damage quietly adds up. And the worst part is that because sunscreen is the last step in your routine, most people never think to blame it when their skin starts breaking out. Moving on, the second category of sunscreens that oily skin people need to run away from is anything with a heavy emollient base. These are sunscreens that contain ingredients like shea butter, coconut oil, mineral oil, or petrolatum as their base. Now these ingredients are absolutely wonderful for someone with dry or dehydrated skin. They lock in moisture beautifully. But on oily skin, they are a complete nightmare. Your skin does not need more occlusive ingredients sitting on top of it. It needs breathability. It needs something that will let your skin function normally without adding more congestion to an already congested situation. And yet so many of the most widely sold sunscreens in the world use these exact ingredients because they make the texture feel luxurious and moisturizing, which appeals to the majority of consumers. But you are not the majority in this case, and you need to shop accordingly. There is another type of sunscreen that is wildly popular right now, especially in the skincare community online, and that is tinted moisturizing sunscreens with SPF. Now before you come for me in the comments, I want to be clear. Some of these are genuinely great products, but a large chunk of them are formulated with talc, mica, and iron oxides mixed into a creamy base that is designed to give coverage. And that combination on oily skin is a recipe for midday congestion and pore buildup. The tint gives you that beautiful initial finish when you apply it, so you feel amazing walking out the door. But after a few hours of your natural oil mixing with that creamy tinted base, you get a very specific kind of breakout, the kind that happens deep under the skin. The blind pimples that take weeks to surface and weeks more to heal. If you have ever experienced that cycle and could not figure out why, check your Tinted SPF. Now I want to spend a little time on spray sunscreens because these are incredibly popular, especially for reapplication throughout the day, and a lot of oily skin people gravitate towards them because they feel so light and non-greasy. And while some spray sunscreens are absolutely fine, the ones you need to avoid are the ones that use alcohol as their primary carrier ingredient. Yes, alcohol dries down quickly and gives you that weightless feel, but here's what actually happens underneath that dry finish. The alcohol strips your skin's moisture barrier. Your skin panics and compensates by producing even more oil. And now you are in an oil overproduction cycle that no blotting paper in the world can keep up with. The temporary mattifying effect of the alcohol feels like a win in the moment, but you are essentially training your skin to get oilier over time. And when you combine that with regular daily sunscreen use, the long-term damage to your skin's barrier can take months to repair. Let's also talk about European formula sunscreens that contain Tinosorb and Mexeril. Now these are actually advanced UV filters that are genuinely better than a lot of what is available in the American market. And they are highly effective at UV protection. But here is where oily skin people need to pay attention. Many of these formulations, especially the ones available as imports or through online retailers, are designed with a very rich cream base because they were originally developed for the European climate and skin types that tend to trend drier. So while the UV filters themselves are excellent, the vehicle they're delivered in can be completely wrong for oily and acne-prone skin. So if you have been ordering European sunscreens because you heard they were the gold standard, just make sure you are reading the base formula carefully and not just trusting the filter list. Another sunscreen type that belongs on your avoid list is anything that doubles as a makeup primer with a silicone heavy base. These products have exploded in popularity because who doesn't want a product that does two jobs at once, right? You apply your SPF and your pores look blurred and your foundation glides on perfectly. It sounds incredible. But dimethicone and cyclomethicone, which are the silicones most commonly used in these hybrid primers, create a film on your skin that your oil cannot penetrate and cannot escape through. So your sebum just keeps building up underneath that silicone layer all day long. By evening, when you finally take your makeup off, you are removing hours and hours worth of trapped oil and product buildup all at once. And your pores have been under that congestion the entire day. Do this every day for a few months and your skin will start showing it in ways that are really hard to reverse quickly. Okay, so now let's shift the energy in this video because I promised you 3 sunscreens that oily skin can actually trust. And I am going to deliver on that promise. The first type of sunscreen that consistently performs beautifully on oily skin is a lightweight mineral sunscreen with a water, gel, or fluid formula. Zinc oxide and titanium dioxide are the 2 mineral filters, and when they are suspended in a water-based gel formula rather than a cream, they sit on top of the skin without interacting with your sebum in a negative way. They physically block UV rays instead of converting them to heat, which means no extra oil stimulation, no midday grease spike. The finish is usually matte or satin, and they layer beautifully under makeup without pilling. These formulas used to have a reputation for leaving a white cast, but the newer generations of micronized mineral filters have largely solved that problem, and there are options now that blend invisibly even on deeper skin tones. The second type of sunscreen that oily skin genuinely loves is a Korean or Japanese sunscreen with a sebum control formula. The Asian sunscreen market, particularly from South Korea and Japan, has been formulating for oily and combination skin for decades because those skin types are incredibly common in those markets. Products from brands that focus specifically on skin type appropriate formulas tend to use filters like Uvanilla Plus and Tinosorb S and ultralight emulsions that contain sebum absorbing ingredients like silica or niacinamide built right into the formula. So you're getting your UV protection and your oil control in one product without any of the clogging or congestion. These sunscreens changed the game for oily skin people globally when they started becoming more widely available. And in 2026, there are more options than ever before. The third type of sunscreen that belongs in every oily skin person's routine is a niacinamide-infused SPF with a fluid texture. Niacinamide is one of the most well-researched ingredients in skincare for regulating sebum production, minimizing pore appearance, and strengthening the skin barrier. When it is formulated into a sunscreen, not just added as a trace ingredient, but actually present in a meaningful percentage, it actively works against oiliness throughout the day while your SPF does its UV blocking job. These formulas tend to have a very fluid, almost watery consistency that absorbs quickly and leaves a natural skin finish rather than a heavy matte or a greasy shine. They are genuinely the closest thing to a perfect sunscreen for oily skin that the industry has produced so far, and they are worth every penny of the investment. Here is the bigger picture I want you to take away from all of this. Sunscreen is not optional. It is the single most important skincare product you will ever use in your entire life. It prevents premature aging, hyperpigmentation, skin cancer, and sun damage in ways that no serum, no treatment, and no supplement can match. But using the wrong sunscreen is not neutral. It is actively harmful. It breaks you out, it clogs your pores, it makes your oiliness worse. And then it makes you want to skip sunscreen altogether because your skin always feels terrible when you wear it. And skipping sunscreen because you had a bad experience with the wrong formula is one of the most costly skin decisions you can make for your long-term skin health. So the answer is not less sunscreen. The answer is the right sunscreen. And now you know exactly what to look for and what to leave on the shelf.